Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, I said in my video yesterday, it didn't feel right that they were just going to do a whole bunch of 10 times summoning events throughout the week without something else to back it up. And they just dropped what else is coming. So we've got this unusual, in fact, one-of-a-kind summon rush. We're going to go into that. I've not even clicked into it yet to see how juicy it is. And then once I've gone over that, we're also going to go into this Path of Light, which drops today as well, and just see if it's worth your time, worth your investment in terms of energy for what you get out of the other end. We're in this kind of week where there's no fusion going on. This is often a bit of downtime where they drop these extra events, this extra activity. Sometimes I'm like, hold your resources. The next fusion could be a banger, but we're almost kind of due a banger in terms of a fusion. So it might be the next one's going to be absolutely brilliant. We don't know yet, but also, getting some of these more valuable resources are going to be strong as well, potentially. I will say I'm going to do a video covering some of the items from Scratch's interview with Cirilla yesterday, giving my thoughts on that. So watch out for that later today. But yeah, let's kick in with the Summon Rush here. So as I said yesterday, there's a whole bunch of 10 times events going on this week. Normally, I would say they make no sense to pull shards on. Okay, they don't make sense. There's no extra incentive to pull your shards, but a 250% value summon rush event might make us think differently. Might do. So they're saying here, and this is only from summoning ancient shards. They're probably in this position where they realize a fair amount of endgame players hoard. They hoard ancient shards, waiting for that kind of like back to the old glory days where we used to get guaranteed champions from ancients, and some of them were pretty damn good. So I think by design, they're trying to find ways to stop the hoarding. And, maybe this is going to be one of their new ideas to do that. So 7,500 points would get you an Eternal Soulstone. We do know that Soulstone events and tournaments are coming down the line. This is going to be the next thing we're all hoarding, right? This is going to be the next thing that we all hoard. Raid. Do you not see what you're doing? You're pushing us into this horde mentality. It's weird. In a sense, it's weird. Anyway, we know that we're going to be getting events around Soulstones and stuff soon. They have told us they're not going to be part of fusion events. So it's down to you whether you want to hoard them, whether you get them or not. Obviously, Hydra is a good source of them, and you get them through events and stuff. I think they're the two best ways. Iron Twins is like the worst way to get these Soulstones, which is so dumb. Anyway, that's for a different video. So let's have a look through. 7,500 points for the juicy prize. And then along the way, small Soulstone. Lots of soul type stuff, really. We've got a legendary steel tome twice. And then, other than that, it's kind of like mainly Soulstone orientated. So in this event, with the 250% extra just on Ancients, basically, you now get 50 points per ancient. You know what's interesting here? We've called it out a number of times. Ancients have been massively undervalued in any of these type of events. So bear that in mind before you pull the trigger here. I think what they're trying to do is just test if this rebalance makes sense. And 50 points for an ancient instead of 10 is actually more in line with where it should be. When you bear in mind, a sacred is worth 500. A void shard's worth 120. An ancient at 50 is kind of where it should be, okay? So if we're talking about an ancient at 50, what's that? That's 150 ancients to get the big boy prize. It's a lot still. I mean, it's still an awful lot, okay? 150 ancients to get the big boy prize. Let me just make sure I've worked that out right. I think I did. But, getting old. So 50 points. Oh, so no, let's do 7,500. Divide that by the 50. Lose my calc. 150. Yeah, I was right. Okay. So 150 ancients would get you there. Or if you kind of, if you went with something like a mixture of sacreds and stuff, you might pull like a couple of sacreds is 1,000. Then it's 130. It's still a lot. So is an Eternal Soulstone worth 150 ancient shards? Not unless you absolutely want the summoning champion. That's the fact. It's still not really worth it for the average player. Would I do it on my main account? probably yes. And that's a difference here. An Eternal Soul Stone could be a game changer for me. So far, they haven't been, by the way. They've generally been absolute crap. But they could end up being a bit of a game changer. But when I look through the champions that are up for grabs for Ancients, there's not really anything that I would go for. That's the shame. I feel like the selection of champions this week, albeit they're still good. You know, we had a Shard and Necrit. That was probably the best day yesterday before the summon event was even on. Walking to Dreng is cool, but we've now got Artak. Hedgie's not going to be involved in, obviously, the ancient side of it, but Hedgie's good, but kind of out of meta. Helicaf is brilliant if you are coming up through the game. He's the single best carry, probably, that you could pull for, you know, getting you through Clan Boss, getting you through Arena, all that type of stuff. So, for my main account, though, he's a no, but for most players, this is probably your best day if you're going to go for this. And then Noct, I think, is decent. A few people were saying yesterday on my video, actually quite a good solo champion as well. I was kind of saying, you know, mainly a Sand Devil champion, but you know, others were saying differently. But yeah, there's not really that much in this ×10 that's kind of like, wow, we should pull shards. So for me, I think it's going to end up being a bit of a flop, not because of this 250%, which I think is just needed as a standard now, but more because the champions up for grabs are that kind of generally a mid-tier legendary or current metas versus what they could have put out. Just whilst I'm kind of waiting for the Path of Light to open up, last few hours to get Tatsu for people doing it. I'm just interested because I didn't feel like Tatsu was that crazy worth going for. Obviously, a few of these guys did 200,000 points at the top. Damn. That's actually crazy. Like when I won Christ, I think I was around this level, 130,000. But it felt to me like Christ was a game changer. And I'm not sure that Tatsu is a game changer. So interested to see your thoughts. You know, did you go for this? Are you in the mix? Worst thing here is if you get sniped. That's an absolute killer. But yeah, I guess outside of that, the legendary tome for 10,000 points was actually pretty decent, I think, for most players. Anyway, what's this here as well? Hold on. Soul Chase Tournament. Get as many souls as you can to earn points. That's what I was talking about earlier. So tomorrow, they drop their first Soul Chase tournament in the game as well. So it's not to do anything else. It's literally, this is more of an end game type of thing. You know, if you're doing Hydra consistently like I am, then you'll get more and more souls on the board. Don't know anything about it in terms of rewards and stuff. But, you know, these 15 literally just from doing Hydra over the last week or so or doing other events. And, you know, if you're an end game player, you'll be getting yourself, you know, perhaps 2 or 3 of these bad boys each week. So, yeah, these end up being actually, it ends up being quite a decent source of stuff coming in. Interesting. Okay, so this is, I guess we'll see tomorrow how valuable some of these souls are. Because, you know, unless you're buying them, they're hard to come by. I do actually have, you know, another 13 odd worth as well. So yeah, I'm actually closer to 28, 30 odd just in terms of farming that I've done. Okay, let's have a look at the Path of Light then. So it's another Soulstone here. So Soulstone potentially here for this new Soul event. That might push people a bit more towards it. I do wish the champions were better because then I would do it, but it feels like the champions are not worth my time. Path of Light drops as well. Let's do some numbers here quickly. Yeah, so you've basically got a couple of different avenues to go here. You can either go down the right-hand side if the Soul Stone is your goal, or you can come down the left-hand side if the Sacred Shard is your goal, or you need double keys, so you have to do left and right to unlock the middle to open up legendary tomes. Yeah, so probably I'd say the average player that can do it would probably aiming for a Sacred Shard. Depends what the Soul event looks like tomorrow a little bit. I would say today, if you're doing this, just earn your points and don't spend a single point until we see what this Soul event looks like tomorrow. And I'd say more endgame players would probably be focused on the Eternal Soul Stone. And there's definitely a good argument to say that legendary tomes will just progress your account further and do more for your account than either of those things. Okay, so That's definitely a good argument to be had. If you're going to go down the left-hand side, I mean, it's pretty common sense, really, but you basically want to come straight left, straight down into the soul points. Then you want to kind of flick over to the right here into the mid-tier kind of soul stone. So 27, 28, 29, 30, just over 30,000 points to get this sacred shard. And if you come in right side, again, hug the right-hand side, then dip in and get yourself the soul stone here. 33, 34, just over 35,000 points to do that. If you've got to do the 2 keys and then dip down the middle, it feels like this level of points is not worth it, in my opinion, because you're talking about, what, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22,000 points to unlock the middle, roughly, plus another, so 23, 24, 25, call it 26. Unlock with both keys, 29. So you're at 29,000 before you even start talking about getting the legendary books. So that feels like that's a lot to me. Let's have a look at how you do it then. So upgrading champions and gaining artifacts. Artifacts and accessories and champions. This is actually, I will say, this is actually one of the things which is easier to do. Unless you've burnt all your resources on Tatsu, this form of kind of event is way better than, pull shards to do stuff. So getting items you can do whilst you level and upgrade champions. You're either going to use a dungeon food farming technique or you're going to do a campaign technique. Okay, so either way is valuable in terms of gaining items whilst also leveling food. If you're going to do campaign, then you probably want to assume that you're going to get somewhere averaging around 15 to 18 points per drop if you're doing 12-3 brutal. Okay, and at the same time, you'll be leveling up champions. Yeah, so for every run you're doing, which costs you 8 energy, you'll be getting a decent amount of points in whilst leveling champions. Only trouble with campaign is you also get things like the mystery shard drop instead of gear drops. So you get less artifacts than if you were just doing dungeons. But you also level champions quicker. So you kind of get that balance, really. Depends where you want to go with that. Now, I would say leveling champions is a better overall avenue than gaining gear. So if you're literally going to burn resources that you own, and I'll give an example here, you can quite quickly get yourself a lot of points by doing the kind of food technique. I'll ping a video where I go over this in detail at the end here, because this is a really proven technique. It's fantastic to earn a lot of points quickly in this type of event. Let's assume Kaitis is just a food champion for me that I've got ready to go. And he's going to be someone I'm going to feed into a level 40 to become a 5-star. What you can do on your food champion is feed, depending on the star rating, you feed them a number of brews before feeding them, okay? Before they become that food and get gobbled up, give them brews. You could also, if you're not giving them brews, you could also run them in campaign a number of levels. It's actually a really good tool on RSL Helper if you use it, where you can set the level of each star rating that you want to get them to and just let RSL Helper replace the champions over and over. It's actually insanely good. But so I could upgrade him here to level 21. Gets me 60 tournament points and 140 Litecoins, yeah? And that's something that I'm just going to feed. Cost me 4 brews and a little bit of silver. Yeah, by the time you've done that with multiple champions and start to bank that up, so we're doing that 4 times. And then we feed it into someone who is ready to rank up. Yeah, so we find the people that we just fed brews into. See, they're going to be hidden behind locks at the moment, but for the sake of this, it's all good. This is what content creator does. And then this level 40 has now got 4 champions being fed into it, which has had some brews each. Yeah, and we feed that. This champion then becomes the 5-star. Now, if this champion is also food as a 5-star, you repeat it, okay? You repeat it with, I would say for a 5-star, you're actually better off going with 7 brews, because then you get a good amount of extra XP. Or you put a lot of levels in, which gives you a lot of points. Yeah, so if it's 5-star, I would do 7 brews. 4-star, I would do 4. 3-star, I would do 2. 2-star, I would do 1. And 1-star, if you've got 1 stars, that you're kind of like just leveling up, which I'll show you here. The 1 stars you just want to level in the tavern. Just go 1 brew, 3 other 1 stars, and level them to level 10. And then I don't tend to do anything with the other ones. So I just literally go 1 more and they become a 2 star. But yeah, 2 stars, 1 brew. Yeah, 3 stars. We do 2 brews. This is all for champions you're going to feed. And 4 stars you've seen, 5 stars you've seen. Okay? And that's how you earn your points. Don't burn all your resources taking a 6 star from level 1 up to level 60 if you're trying to do well in this event. Burn your resources creating all of the different food elements and giving them the brews. And you'll see very quickly, we're up to 1,200 points there just by basically doing one little bit of food grinding in the tavern. That same grind, as I said, can be done on campaign. I'm sure Saf later will do a kind of like, absolute maths breakdown of the best way to do it and all that type of stuff, because he does that really well. But just give you a bit of a sense of what you can be doing. So there you go, guys. That's what's going on right now. Let me know your thoughts on it. Are these events stuff that you're into? Are you interested? Do you care about the soul events? Do you care about these summoning events or not? I've been Hell Hades. I'll see you later.